All right. What's good? What's good? Happy Wednesday, y'all. Nice to see you. Happy New Year's. Everyone in the chat right now, just drop some thumbs up. Drop where you're from. Drop your DJ name in the chat. We got Jason Paul in the building. Tyler Hagel in the building. What's up, fam? How you guys doing? Welcome to the new year. It's 2022. And that's all I got to say about 2022 because nothing's changing where I'm from. Life is, it is what it is. And I got no more complaints left to spit out there. But today, we're going to be talking about what every DJ wants to know. How to scratch. So make sure you're smashing that thumbs up button. If you're checking the replay, drop a hashtag replay in the chat. Make sure you drop your DJ name in the chat, and we're gonna get to this right now. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys are a lot like me probably. When you started to DJ, you always wanted to learn how to scratch. Like that was the reason I personally became a DJ. We got Luca Miller in the building. Luca Miller, the icon in the building, representing. So yeah, if you guys are a lot like me, I started to DJ because I saw a DJ scratching and I thought, wow, that is the absolute craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. How is this guy doing that? What is he doing? I don't understand any of this. And I was hooked basically immediately. It would have been a guy, I'm sure Luca knows this guy. His name's DJ Starting From Scratch in Toronto. He was one of the sickest DJs that I've ever heard do it. And he really pushed me to become a DJ today. We got Matthew Cody in the building. Represent. Drop your DJ name in the chat. Drop where you're from in the chat. And we're going to keep it pushing. So I heard him mixing and scratching, and I was like, what is this guy even doing? What is a DJ? I didn't know what a DJ was even. And it just kind of blew my mind. And I'll be honest with you guys. Like, I've been a DJ for probably 15 years, and I never learned how to scratch because really quickly it just became about money to me and making money and becoming a business and having fun and partying and stuff. And I never sat down to learn the real process of how to scratch. And just like learning how to scratch is like learning any other musical instrument, learning how to like tie your shoes, learning how to play basketball. They're all the same things. And that's where kind of like having a coach to teach you how to do this is going to come in really handy. Because if you're just trying to learn this by yourself, you're going to learn bad habits. And that's what I was like my whole career. I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to scratch and I sound like this. And it's like you're kind of getting the concept of it, but you're not learning anything. You're never going to progress unless you know the actual proper way to do it. And that's what we're going to go over today. If anyone has any questions, make sure you just drop them in the chat, and I will definitely answer all of the questions that come in. But as I was saying, like scratching is the same as learning how to play the trumpet, learning how to play a saxophone, learning how to play the drums, learning to play basketball. It's the same thing. And like when you're learning how to play basketball, what is your coach going to teach you what to do? Like what are they going to teach you on how to play basketball? He's going to teach you drills, and you're going to have like one drill that is, I got to dribble down the court, and that's it. The whole day, for the whole hour that you're in like gym class or wherever it was that you learned how to play basketball, all you're doing is dribbling up and down the court for that day. And that's going to kind of be what today is about. It's just learning, like doing a drill to practice your scratching. Because like when I was trying to learn how to scratch by myself without any help, when I was like trying to figure it out by myself and I was just like at the club scratching it up, I had no rhythm. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to emulate what I've heard. And then it became sounding a lot like a bunch of wikis here and there. And that's like the absolute worst way that you're ever going to learn, because eventually you're just going to keep picking up these bad habits. You're going to keep doing the same thing over and over because like it kind of sounds good. It's kind of working, so you're going to stick with it. And that's the absolute worst thing that you could ever do, because you're now learning these bad habits and you're ingraining bad habits into yourself, and like those are what's gonna stick with you forever. And what's way harder than just learning it right from the start is learning it wrong and then like reversing all of that. Essentially, I pretty much like when March 2020, I'm not even gonna say the name anymore, and I don't want to talk about this so far. March 2020. Oh, sorry, I thought it was a cue point. But I'm gonna check on that note, I'm just gonna check the chat real quick. We got Diego A. Villalobos in the chat, James Finley in the chat, Paul Chonko Sr. in the chat, DJ Sins in the chat. Oh my goodness, Luca just dropped Jazzy Jeff. I saw him live one time up in Barrie at the Rocks, and it was insane, man. Like, I never really knew he was a DJ. I knew him from the show and everything, but I never heard him DJ before that. But I finally saw him live one time, and like he changed my life for me. Like, sickest DJ ever. Shout out DJ Jazzy Jeff not in the building, but he's the man. Michael Cataldi in the building. What's up, everybody? Okay, so we're just gonna get right to it. I kind of told you the story about like when I was trying to learn how to DJ. I was just there doing whatever I knew how to do, and that's what most people get stuck up on. Like, we only know what we know, and you're never gonna progress past that. Especially if you're trying to practice and you're practicing what you know. If you're not practicing the proper way to do something, you're holding yourself back for years and years. Like, I started getting serious in March 2020, and I've progressed in the past 2 years further than I've ever progressed in 15 years. And all it really took was learning how to do it the proper way. So I'm gonna bring the beat in, and we're just gonna get right to it. Like, number one step is to learn the baby scratch. Like, it might be the most boring thing in the world, but learning the baby scratch is the foundation. It's like when you're trying to build a house, what do you have to do first? You have to build the foundation. What's going to hold this house up? You can't build the house by, sticking some logs up here, build the roof, throw the roof on, and then work your way down. That house is going to fall over immediately, without a doubt. It all comes down to foundational practices. The same as like you're learning how to play the trumpet or something. You're going to learn like A, B, C, and you're just going to do that over and over again until you can do that with muscle memory, like without having to think about it. If you're learning how to play basketball, you're learning how to do a layup. First, you're going to learn how to dribble. And then from there, you're just going to learn how to like throw the ball up in the air. And it's just going to go like that. So step number one is learn that baby scratch. The baby scratch is everything, especially when it comes to scratching. And all it is just moving the record forward and back. And if you guys have been rocking with me for a minute, you know what I'm about to do. I'm going to start counting 1, 2, 3, 4. This is how you beat match. Like, there's still a lot of guys in this group right now who still don't understand how to beat match. And like, I've given you everything. I've taught you everything. The problem is people are not taking that the teaching and putting it into practice. They're still going back to what they know, and like they think that it's boring to take two instrumentals and just try and like drop the beats on each other. Yeah, it's going to be boring. It's going to be the most boring thing ever. But if you can't beat match two beats that are the exact same BPM with no vocals, and like you're just literally trying to match beats up, you're never gonna learn how to mix. Like, you can't just start mixing and think you're gonna get it. You have to do these drills essentially. Like, you have to just drop it on the one over and over and over again. If you can't drop the track on the one, you're never gonna progress past that. So this is the same thing here with the baby scratch. So let's get to it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And like, all you're doing now is playing the turntable, or like you can do this with anything, any controller that you have. A lot of guys will say like, how do I make the controller's platter slower? And I was like, you don't make the platter slower. You get more dexterity in your hand. You can scratch on any piece of DJ equipment, any of it. Like, I promise you, I wish I had like a controller out here right now so that I could show you it on a controller, but it's a lot of work to move these Rain 12s, and I love playing on the Rain 12s, so that's what it is. But it all comes down to playing the turntable like an instrument, and it starts by doing this. 1, push it forward. 1, 2, pull it back. 3, push it forward. 4, pull it back. And like, once you understand beat matching and everything, you understand bar structure. This is how you can start making your scratches sound a little bit funkier. And if you guys have any questions, make sure you drop them in the chat, and I will definitely answer them. It's hard to really go back in time to the place where I didn't know. So if you guys drop your question, it's gonna like bring me back to that place where I can really answer it for you. But it all comes down, like, I know it's boring to play this like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, it's boring to do that over and over again, but all you're doing right now is you're building muscle memory within your hands so that you can just do this without thinking. To the point where, like, once you can do that on time, it's all about being on time, then you can start adding your own flair to it. So it's like... And all that, that's still the same process. You're still doing the same thing. You're still just moving the record on the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, but you can start getting funky with it, because once you can drop it on time, like, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to drop it on the 1 every single time. That's only for beat matching. Here you can drop it on the 3, you can drop it on the 4, but you want it to be in time. So I'm just going to check the chat real quick. Oh, we got everybody in the building right now. We got Alex Marcello in the building. And if I don't pronounce your name right, sorry, I can barely read. I never finished high school. It is what it is. Learning the bad habits, bro, trust me. That's what held me back basically my whole career, was for mixing, for everything. Like, I never wanted to... I did not have YouTube back when I learned how to DJ. I didn't have that stuff. I was too proud, or whatever it is. Like, if you're a guy, let me know in the chat right now if you cannot ask for help for anything. Like, I could not go ask somebody for help. All I did was, like, I'd sit there and I'd try and study. I would watch, like, other DJs play. I'd try and just study them and try and figure out what it was that they were doing, and then I would go home and emulate it. And because, like, I'm a guy, I cannot ask somebody else for help. Like, let me know in the chat right now if you can ask somebody for help. And we didn't have YouTube or anything, so I had to figure everything out by myself. And the problem with that is, like, I'm trying to figure it out, and all I'm doing is creating bad habits for myself, because I'm not actually learning the proper way to do it. I never learned what a BPM was, or I never learned what a beat was. And, like, the way I would explain a beat is like a head nod. Your 1 is just one head nod. When you're listening to music, when you're just nodding your head, normally you're going to nod your head on, like, in sync to the beat. Just that one head nod, that is going to be your number 1. Yo, happy new year, DJ Poi Sion. Happy new year, brother. It is what it is. 2022, we're here. We're not going back for nothing. Never go back to 2020. Philip Ballesteri in the building. Chris Galbraith. It's done, bro. The desk is done. Check my Monday live stream. It's different. I got kicked out of here. Oh no. Sorry guys, I got kicked off the chat. Cedric Thompson in the building. DJ T-Rex in the building. No, it is not different. I just lost everyone's comments, so I'm sorry for that. I got kicked out of the chat for some reason. But no, scratching on a controller is no different whatsoever. I wish I actually had a controller set up so that I could show you that, but it's not different in any way. It's the exact same. It all comes down to just building that muscle memory. Like with a controller, it's not obviously not going to spin for you, but a lot of times when you're scratching, you're not letting that go anyways. You're just you're pushing the record. Like for me right there, I did not let the record go at all. Sometimes I'll let the record go if I'm doing like a transformer. I'll let the record go, but for the most part, you're never really letting the record go. But even with the controller, when you just let it go, it's gonna go. It's just your hand is not gonna follow with it. It's all about just building that dexterity within your hand. It's the same as anything, playing basketball, playing hockey. Like you have to learn that skill and how to do that skill over and over. And it all starts with that baby scratch. Oh, Happy New Year. We got Joel Sakiria. Sorry, man. Like, sorry to everybody if I pronounce your names wrong. I never finished high school. I can barely read. It is what it is. So yeah, I guess I'll run down a few more scratches. I'll count out the baby scratch. The baby scratch is number one. Like I've told you guys over and over again, especially when you're trying to learn how to mix, like use instrumentals, make this so easy on yourself that you're never gonna mess it up. Like that's the problem a lot of guys will have. Like they think that, oh yeah, I understand. I heard what he said. So I'm just gonna jump right into it and start mixing. No, like you're just immediately gonna go right back to bad habits. You're gonna lose yourself. Like if you want to learn how to mix, you take two instrumentals of the same BPM and just literally try and beat match. Take two beats and try and match them up. The minute you start putting vocals in there and putting other stuff in there, it's just gonna mess you up. You're gonna lose like your confidence. You're gonna get like immediately lost, and you're gonna pretty much you're just destroying your future gains and like what you're going to learn in the future. And it's sad, but that is how it is. Like you want to make stuff so easy on yourself. And this is the same thing for scratching. Like you start with the baby scratch because the baby scratch is the same scratch you're going to use for every other scratch. Like you want to master the baby scratch first because it doesn't matter if you're doing a 1-click flare, 2-click flare, transformer, chirp scratch. All of those scratches use the baby scratch. So you have to master the baby scratch. It's number one. Just do it. So let's go back to it. I'll show you guys this one more time, and then I'll show you guys a few other scratches. Maybe just like a quick little freestyle. We got Tommy Timbo in the building. What's up, brother? Happy New Year. How you doing, my dude? Darren McKibben in the building. Max Sullivan in the building. Happy New Year, y'all. Hope you guys are having a great time. CJ Felton in the building. You already know what it is. So we're going to go right back to the baby scratch. This is number one. It's the foundational scratch. It's the one that, like, you use the baby scratch for everything else. Why would you not master it when it is the foundation? When you're building a house, what do you build first? You build the foundation. If not, your house falls over. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I didn't really explain this yet, but imagine like you were playing the trumpet, right? That's just a note. How I did that slower, that's a whole note instead of being like a half note or a quarter note. They're just notes. Like at this point in time, as soon as you start scratching and you want to start learning how to scratch, this is now a musical instrument. So you're going to follow the rules of playing any other musical instrument. So what happens when you're playing another musical instrument? You're gonna play notes. You're gonna play choruses, and you can kind of like, what are they called? Scales, I guess. Scales, or what they'll call. So for a DJ, it would be called like a combination scratch, which could be like, here's a easy little combo. It's just a baby to a chirp scratch to a drop scratch. And like what I was saying right from the start, like you're going to start doing drills. If you want to learn how to play basketball, you're going to do drills of just dribbling the ball up and down the court for literally for an hour until you can dribble that ball without messing up. What happens, like once you've practiced your baby scratch, that's just like a quick little baby freestyle. Like it's still just a baby scratch, but now you're starting to make it funky. You're starting to put your own little flavor onto it. But like after that, you're going to start doing combinations because you have to learn how to link one scratch to the next scratch. So how would that go? Like the one I just did, it was a baby to a stab to a drop. And it just goes. This is called the military scratch because all you're doing is the same thing over and over, and it sounds like the military when they go for a march. Oh, we got the men in the building. Don Mixie Techo, what's up, fam? Darren McGibbon, Spencer, DJ, Serpent, Merchant. Fire. Nice to see y'all. Happy New Year's, everybody. So yeah, I've covered the baby scratch. I've covered like a combination. Let's just cover like a few other scratches. We're gonna go a lot more deeper into this in the coming weeks. Today is just kind of like showing you guys what the process is, and like number one is the baby scratch. You always start with the baby scratch because the baby scratch is everything. Like it's the foundation to everything. You can't scratch any other, you can't do any other scratch without learning that baby scratch. So yeah, let's give it. So here's a transformer, same process. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna turn the sound up a little bit. And this one is just called the drop scratch, or a cut. Some people call it the cut because you're cutting the sound off, you're dropping it and then cutting it. I just call it the drop scratch because you're just dropping it, letting it go. 1, 2, 3, 4. In there was a couple scratches that I added just to combo it. There was like a flare in there. Flare is just pushing the record forward. Sorry, let's turn the beat off when I'm doing that. You're pushing it forward, cutting the sound off in the middle, letting it go. Same thing in reverse, pulling it back, cutting the sound off. So quicker. Some of these are harder to do very slow. And that's the same thing. It's just playing different. Now you're playing the notes at a different pace. So it's quarter notes, half notes, full notes. Full note would be. Sorry, I keep turning the beat back on. Yeah, so the next one, I guess, is the chirp scratch. If anyone has any questions, just drop them in the chat. I'm going to be ending the stream right after, so just drop your questions in the chat right now. If not, I'm just going to do a couple more scratches, and then I'm going to cut the stream. So nice to see y'all. If anyone needs any more help as well, make sure you join up, the djconnect.com. There's already like a full course on there for business, becoming a DJ, how to mix, how to scratch. I'm going to get really heavy on scratching this year. Like I fell off kind of in the last like month. I had COVID, Christmas, everything was a nightmare. But we're back. It's 2022 and it's time to go after our goals and to go make this happen. So yeah, let's run the chirp scratch. For the chirp scratch, all you're doing is playing the very start of the sound. This is a Jazzy Jeff scratch right here. Luca brought Jazzy Jeff up. This is a scratch he created, and it's called the chirp because it sounds like a bird. So all you're doing is playing the very, very short start of the sound. So it sounds just like a little chirp. And then like it's the same thing. If you're trying to practice the chirp scratch, what do you do? Once you can do it regularly, just like once you can do it with your muscle memory and not having to start thinking about it, now you can start playing it like an instrument. Now you can start freestyling with it and playing around with it, but not until that moment. And like that doesn't happen right away. Like you have to put your time in. You have to go amazing. You just did it. Part one. Give yourself like a pat on the back. And then step two. Amazing. Give yourself a hug. Say you are the best. You can do this. And that's it. Like that's how you start these things. They are not natural. They do not come naturally, but you do them one step at a time, one baby step at a time. You can never run before you walk. And like how many of you guys have had like a kid or something, or you were a baby and like there was a point where you just said like, you know what? I'm not a walker. Like, I'm not going to figure this out. You tried to get up a bunch of times. You tried to walk around and like you kept falling down and you were like, you know what? I give up, man. I'm never going to learn how to walk. Probably none of us. Like, I don't think there's one baby in the world who just gave up on walking. Like, we all figure it out. It might take a while. It might take a lot longer for other people than some people, but it all starts with 1 foot at a time, like one chirp at a time. One. Amazing. Like give yourself a high five. 2. And that's the chirp scratch. So I'm just going to check the chat. Doesn't look like too many questions here. Finger placement drills for the crossfader. Okay, so first off, until you can baby scratch, bro, do not touch the crossfader. Eventually you are gonna want your hand will naturally start raising up. Like a lot of people when they start, their hands are down here, and trust me, I was one of those guys. I would like rest my hand on the mixer. Honestly, it's just because you don't have the hand dexterity yet. Like it sounds silly, but your hand does not have the strength yet to handle that. Eventually, like go watch any scratch DJ, like their hands are up here, because a lot of this the cuts are like the transformer is just clicks. So you want your hand above the fader. Like, this is the proper hand placement, but it's going to take time. Like, you just got to practice, and eventually your hand will get up there. Especially, like, it's going to come a lot more as you start doing different scratches, especially, like, with the crab scratch. Like, you cannot do the crab scratch down here. It has to be above the fader. And I don't even want to show you the crab scratch because that's too much information. Like, we have to stick to the baby scratch and learning that first. Like, the same thing is like mixing in key. If you don't know how to beat match, do not try learning how to mix in key. Like, you're putting way too much stuff in your brain that you have no business even like thinking about. Like, what's more important than playing the next track in key is playing the right next track. Like, you want to play the best next song, whether it's in key or not. In key has its time and place, but it is not a law. Like, the same way like beat matching is the law. Like, beat matching is the law, but mixing in key is not a law. Like, it's going to sound better, obviously, but it is not like the end-all, be-all. And the same thing here. Like, if you cannot do the baby scratch, don't even bother thinking about the crossfader. Just stick it out. Stick to that before like you're worried at all about anything else. Just stick it out there. Yeah, Transformers, Jazzy Jeff too. All right, this looks like it's it. Yeah, if anyone has any more questions, man, feel free to shoot me a DM. I'm gonna cut it off here. I'm gonna the next week we're gonna just like really stick to scratches. The next few weeks, probably the next month, we're just gonna concentrate on scratching, and we're gonna move from there. But if anyone wants the course right now, there's a membership. There's a ton of premium products in there. You guys get hooked up like massively. The DJConnect.com. It's currently $27 a month. Or I do personal coaching as well where you can buy the whole thing. But either way, feel free to shoot me a DM if you guys got more questions. And if not, I will see you guys. It's 2022. Let's get after it. Let's make it happen. This is the year of the DJ. Like, the last 2 years have not been. This is the year of the DJ.
Yo, what's up? This is 50 Cent.
What's up, everybody? I'm Eminem.
Yo, it's your boy Lil Jon.
Is it recording?
Stand by or live.
Yes.
This is DJ Cache, repping the Supreme DJs.